Welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm your host, Winnie.
And I am Mike, 180 centimeters.
Oh, I'm 158 centimeters. Last time
We're talking about our height. Now, do you know your height in feet and inches?
I am 5'2".
5'2".
So 5 foot 2 inches.
Okay, I'm 6 foot, but I think I'm getting shorter.
Oh, no.
Yeah, gravity.
Okay,
The world's pretty heavy these days,
that
so
is
I'm
true.
getting a little bit
you
smaller.
got a lot on your shoulders.
That's exactly right. We're not going to get into our weight, but we probably could tell you the weight in pounds and in
kilograms.
Kilograms.
I was going to say,
That's right.
or for me, just grams.
Grams, that's right.
Because I'm so tiny.
Decagrams. You could say decagrams because those I think are smaller.
Yeah.
But yes, we're talking about how we weigh and measure things, and you guys have probably noticed or heard or seen in movies or as you traveled around the world does not measure things in the same way everywhere, and it can be quite confusing. Why not?
Yeah.
We're going to get into some of that, and we're going to be talking about the two main systems that we use in the world these days, the
Imperial and of course the metric.
Yeah, the weird imperial and the more logical normal metric system. But as you travel, it is true, you kind of need to be familiar with them, at least not get confused. Before I moved to Taiwan, for example, I could never have told you my height in centimeters.
Oh.
Because in Canada, where I'm from, we use the metric system in supermarkets and other places. But for some weird reason, we still use feet and inches when we talk about how tall we are.
So sometimes the culture can kind of change it.
Totally. There are mixed up, confused countries, and there are newer systems and older systems, and it can be confusing. So we're going to explain all of it to you today and tomorrow. Yes, it's going to take about 20 minutes today and 20 minutes tomorrow, and luckily minutes and hours are the same everywhere.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yes, so we're going to get into it now. In kilograms.
Around the world, we measure things in different ways, from liters and kilograms in one country to gallons and pounds in another. But what's the story behind these different measurement systems, and how did we end up with so many ways to measure weight, volume, and length? The imperial system originated in Britain and was shaped by layers of Roman, Celtic, and Anglo-Saxon influence. Terms such as foot, pound, and gallon developed over centuries and became common throughout the land, yet their meanings were far from consistent. A gallon could vary by region, and measurements often changed between industries and products. When trade was limited to exchanges with nearby neighbors, regional differences mattered little. But as travel increased, a universal system became necessary.
All right, let's get today's article started. It is labeled Measuring the World, the Imperial and Metric Systems. And of course, this is day one because we have so much to cover.
We do. There are many, many little things to discuss, so let's get to it. It says, around the world, we measure things in different ways, from liters and kilograms in one country to gallons and pounds in another. And those are just two very common examples. Liters, of course, usually is to measure amounts of liquid. Talk about a liter of gas or a liter of water. Kilograms and pounds, that's for weight. Liters and gallons, as I said, that is often for liquid, but those are two systems, one metric, one imperial.
Exactly, and continuing on, but what's the story behind these different measurement systems, and how did we end up with so many ways to measure weight, volume, and length? That is a very good question, and one that to this day I'm still like, why can't we all just be friends and use the same one? For example, one of the things that we have is the volume. Volume, sometimes you might think, oh, let's turn up that volume, it's too quiet. But in this case, we are talking about the amount of space that something occupies or takes up. Do not confuse this with weight, because weight is completely different. Volume is, for example, if I had a box in here and I had a smaller box inside, the smaller box would, kind of take up how much space inside. So it all depends on the volume. So for example, the volume of water increases when it freezes.
It gets bigger. That's right.
Expands.
It expands a little bit. There you go. So yeah, volume is for something that is 3D, like a box. Whereas if it's just a square, that would be area. Right? You guys know all this from your math class, I'm sure. Let's look at some of the history here. It says the imperial system, which of course is the older system. The imperial system originated in Britain and was shaped by layers of Roman, Celtic and Anglo-Saxon influence. And so Romans, oh yeah, that's 2,000 years ago. Celtic, yeah, that's like 1,500 years ago. Anglo-Saxon, yeah, that's like 1,000 years ago. So these are old systems, which starts to kind of give you an idea why it's so hard to change. People have been using these systems literally for thousands of years.
That's true.
And many of these words also are very old words. So it's just, you know, from a long time ago.
It is, exactly. So continuing on with the article, terms such as foot, pound, and gallon developed over centuries and became common throughout the land. That kind of makes sense. I don't remember seeing a measuring tape in the medieval ages.
No, they didn't have them.
They had your good old feet.
Exactly. But you go to the market, you want to buy a couple pounds of apples or a couple gallons of wine or whatever like that, you're going to have to use these so that everyone knows how much they're getting, buying, selling, trading, and whatnot. Let's go over to Hanny. You know, she is in metric. She's a very modern girl.
She is a modern gal, and that's why we love her.
Yeah.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这次文章是要介绍英制跟公制的渊源，标题写到 The Imperial and Metric Systems。我们补充一下 ，Imperial 它是形容这个帝国的，尤其是指跟大英帝国相关的事物。后来引申指大英帝国所使用的度量衡制度，也就是英制的。那么 Metric 则是表达公制的。在世界各地啊，人们以不同方式来测量事物，我们就来看看是怎么发展出这么多的测量重量、容量和长度的方式。那首先，英制系统是起源于英国，历经了罗马、凯尔特等等多重影响，逐渐成型。那么像英尺、磅、加仑等等这些词汇，经过数百年的发展，流通于各地。好，单字 volume 这个名词表示容量、体积，它也有音量的意思。那这边一个重点是 end up， 它是指最终处于点点点，结果怎么样怎么样。后面可以接动词 ing、形容词 pp 或者是介系词片语来当补语。例如 in the story, the king wanted everything but ended up with nothing。在故事中，国王想要得到一切，但最终却一无所有。好，接回到课文中。
All right, thank you so much, Hanny. Let's get back to this article.
All right, so people have been weighing and measuring things for a really long time, and a lot of these names like pound and gallon come to us from a really long time ago. That's how people did stuff back then, but there was no internet, there was no big government to say, okay, everyone, this is how much is a pound, this is how much is a gallon, and it led to confusion, as it says, yet, however, but, even though they had these things, yet their meanings were far from consistent, meaning there was a lot of difference and variety. As explained, a gallon could vary by region, and measurements often changed between industries and products.
Yikes.
Oh my gosh, so a gallon of milk in Leeds in northern England would be different from a gallon of milk in London in southern England. And the same thing with different industries, different businesses would use different weights and measures and even different products. So a pound of apples might be different from a pound of wheat or something like that.
Yeah.
How did they do things?
I don't know.
I guess the point is you didn't travel very far.
That is
so
true.
You just know what they use in your region.
Exactly. Well, continuing on, when trade was limited to exchanges with nearby neighbors, regional differences mattered little.
There you go.
But as travel increased, a universal system became necessary. So just like you said, I mean, if my neighbor is saying this is a pound of apples and I have a pound of wheat, it's like, okay, yeah, I can like lift it. Maybe it feels the same. But once you start moving across, they were like, maybe some guy is stronger than the person from Leeds.
Exactly. There, or put all your extra apples on a boat and sail over to France and try to sell them there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh mon Dieu. What would they do? And so yes, it made exchange very difficult. Exchange is basically trading things. You can exchange things. Hey, you have a banana and I have a chocolate cupcake. Can we exchange? And I'd say, no way.
That's not a fair
I don't want your banana. So an exchange could be a trade. It's also just kind of a way we would talk about doing business, buying things is a simple exchange as well. I give you money, I get a thing that I can now use and take home. So basically, it's trading, it's swapping, it's switching, it's sending one thing to away from you and getting another thing back. For example, trade exchanges between the two countries grew quickly. Buying and selling, business, that kind of activity.
Right, and to this day, there are still different types of exchanges because universally, there are a lot of things we need to exchange. And
true.
Speaking of universal, we're talking about something that is done by people all over the world. So there are stock exchanges all over the world, so they are universally used, and people often, trade money in different currencies. So, for example, you could say music is often considered a universal language, which is a great way of saying that, even though we have, a lot of different languages like English, French, Chinese, we have a universal language, so something that everyone understands, which is music.
There you go. We all can all dance to the same song or cry to the same song, no matter where you're from or what language you speak.
Okay.
You know who speaks a universal language?
I think I know who you're talking about. You're talking about Hanny, of course.
She does. She speaks the universal language of love.
Oh, she actually doesn't even open her mouth.
Really?
It just radiates.
Wow.
That's
that
how
is
strong
amazing. So let's just listen to the silence.
好啦，我还是得开口才能讲解。那么课文提到说，这些单位能因地而异，甚至呢会随着不同产业跟产品而改变。如果只是跟附近的人贸易交流，那么地区差异其实还无关紧要。可是随着往来日益的频繁，共通的标准就成了必要。好，单字 exchange 这个名词表示交换交流。Mike 老师用到 swap 这个字，它可以表达交换，以什么替换。Universal 则是形容普遍的、通用的。那我们接着课文中。
Okay, guys, that's the first part of our article. We're just getting into it. We've learned a little bit about the imperial system, the older system. Let's find out more about that and the metric system also coming right up.
Although earlier efforts had been made, the Weights and Measures Act of 1824 formally established a standard. The result was the imperial system, which spread throughout the British Empire. Meanwhile, in France, another standard was taking shape, the metric system. Its key unit, the meter, emerged from the ideals of the French Revolution and reflected the belief that science and logic should come before tradition. In 1799, the system became the official standard in France.
All right, welcome back from the break. Before the break, we learned a little bit about, that, for example, if one place has pounds and then you go next door, maybe the pounds feels the same, but then if you travel further and further, it might be different. So depending on where you are, the way you measure something might be different.
That's right. And as people started to trade things further and further away around the world, it got really, really confusing. So someone had to come along and say, right, this is what a pound is. That's what a gallon is. Don't argue with me. Just do it.
Yep.
And that's kind of what happened. But it took a long time. It says, although earlier efforts had been made, people tried this before.
They did try, okay.
Didn't work out. The Weights and Measures Act of 1824 formally established a standard. I think this is probably in Britain. Some scientists and politicians and business people probably also got together and said, right, we got to set up a system, a standard. A standard is kind of like, we all know that a minute is 60 seconds and an hour is 60 minutes, and we don't argue or fight about this. That's a standard, but you have to establish these things. You have to set them up. When you establish something, you organize it, you set it up. It's kind of like giving giving birth to a system or a business or a country or a university, often in a big business or an office building. It might say EST 1924. That's short for established. That's when it was set up. That's when it was organized. That's when it first started, or as a business, it first opened or something like that. For example, the organization was established in 1982.
All right.
So that's when it was kind of born
Right.
or first came into being.
Okay, wow. So, well, thank you for the, what was it, Weight and Measure Act?
1824.
Wow.
That's, 1824.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right, well, continuing on. The result was the imperial system,
There you go.
which spread throughout the British Empire. And of course, when we think of imperial, we're talking about there's a crown on my head.
Yeah.
That means, you know, there's royalty.
Yeah, there's my country and many other countries around the world, and it's all mine. And yeah, of course, the British Empire was really big at that time. So not only was this used in Britain, but it would have been used in India and
All the
over
Commonwealths.
Canada and
Yep.
Australia
Singapore.
and many other
Yep,
places.
exactly. Well, you know who is a queen in her own right?
Would that be Empress Hanny?
Yes.
Yes.
1824年，度量衡法正式确立了一个标准，也就是英制系统。那这个系统传播到大英帝国的各地。好，来看 establish 这个动词表示建立、设立。在讲到大英帝国时 ，Winnie 老师刚刚有说 royalty 这个名词表示王室、皇族或者是王室成员。老师还有提到 Commonwealth， 它就是 Commonwealth of Nations 的简称，是指大英国协。那我们接着话课文中。
All right, thank you, Henny, Your Majesty.
Oh, yes,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
You're
Thank
so
you.
blessed and honored.
Thank you.
Okay, back to our article. So the British had set up this standard measurement in 1824, Weights and Measures Act of 1824. Everything was organized, the world was wonderful, and there were no problems ever again.
No!
Until the French people
Bum,
came
bum,
along.
bum.
Well, yeah, so other people came up with other systems, and it kind of makes sense that the French did, because, you know, they don't always get along with the English, and they actually had a good system of their own. So let's find out about that one. This is the other one we were talking about that's still in use in the world. It says, meanwhile, in France, another standard was taking shape, the metric system.
I'm picturing a you know, like in a boxing match, there's a title fight, and it's one side is imperial, one side is metric, and then you just like see, you know, round one, ding, ding, ding.
I'm going to get you, Frenchie, and ooh la la, I will punch you in the nose.
I'm ready to punch you with 200 kilograms of
Cheers.
force.
Oh, I can take that and give you some pounds back, old chum. So there you go. Yeah, so they invented another system, the metric system. What's this all about?
Okay, well, it does say its key unit, the meter, emerged from the ideals of the French Revolution and reflected the belief that science and logic should come before tradition. I'm not going to be, I might sound biased, but I kind of agree with that.
Well, you know, it's very rational, it's very logical, and it was kind of what the French were doing. Anything old was out. Let's bring in, they even renamed all the months.
Yeah.
Right? So they had a whole new system for many things, but of course, weighing and measuring things was one of the things they paid some attention to. And it didn't take long.
No. In 1799,
there you go.
The system became the official standard in France.
So there you go. They had their revolution 10 years earlier, cut off the king's head, and 10 years later, they had a whole new system.
Exactly. It emerged, okay? And of course, to emerge means to come from. It comes out. So for example, a new leader emerged during the difficult period. So usually you will see in a story full of tragedy and really tough times, who emerges is usually a hero or someone who wants to get things changed.
Yes.
Yeah, so that kind of makes sense.
All right. And they also used a lot of logic. Logic was a very popular thing back then. It still is, although
I would hope.
Maybe not as popular.
Yeah.
Logic is all about being very clear and scientific with your thinking. You measure things, you look at the world. It's not about I believe or I feel or I think. It's about what do I see? What can I measure? What can science tell me? If your friend comes in from outside and they are all wet, logic will tell you it's raining outside and they didn't have an umbrella. If they tell you, no, everything was fine, but then a whale flew over me and the whale dropped all this water, that doesn't meet with any kind of logic.
No.
That doesn't make sense. The real world does not work in that way. For example, Lauren's argument followed a clear logic. It made sense. We could think about it. We could even test what she said, and it would prove to be true. It's not fantasy or imagination or just what you feel.
And usually when you are arguing, you're not going to be like, well, I feel like you're being really silly right now. Like, you're not really going to win that way.
No.
Yeah,
no.
but you know who wins with her logic?
Who is that?
Hanny.
That is so logical.
She is very logical.
Oh my gosh.
与此同时，在法国有另外一套标准在成型，也就是公制系统。它的核心单位公尺是源自于法国大革命的理想，反映了科学跟逻辑应该优先于传统这样的信念。那么在1799年，公制系统就正式成为法国的官方标准。好，单字 emerge 这个动词表示形成、兴起或出现。Logic 名词表示逻辑、理性思维 ，logical 则是形容合乎逻辑的、合理的。好，这边一个重点是 A come before B， 表示 A 比 B 优先 ，A 比 B 重要。Come before 字面意思是顺序时间上在点点点之前，那么在文中就是指说优先程度或重要性比点点点还要高。举例来说 ，Keep in mind that health always comes before wealth。记住，健康始终比财富重要。这话课文中。
All right, thank you so much, Hanny. I had a lot of fun learning about all the different ways we can measure her.
Yes, we absolutely can. And we're going to find out more about how we can measure the whole world tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. See you tomorrow.
All right, take care.
Around the world, we measure things in different ways, from liters and kilograms in one country to gallons and pounds in another. But what's the story behind these different measurement systems, and how did we end up with so many ways to measure weight, volume, and length? The imperial system originated in Britain and was shaped by layers of Roman, Celtic, and Anglo-Saxon influence. Terms such as foot, pound, and gallon developed over centuries and became common throughout the land, yet their meanings were far from consistent. A gallon could vary by region, and measurements often changed between industries and products. When trade was limited to exchanges with nearby neighbors, regional differences mattered little, but as travel increased, a universal system became necessary. Although earlier efforts had been made, the Weights and Measures Act of 1824 formally established a standard. The result was the imperial system, which spread throughout the British Empire. Meanwhile, in France, another standard was taking shape, the metric system. Its key unit, the meter, emerged from the ideals of the French Revolution and reflected the belief that science and logic should come before tradition. In 1799, the system became the official standard in France.
最后，我们来复习今天课文里的单字文法。单字的部分有 volume 名词表示容量体积 ，exchange 当名词表示交流交换 ，universal 形容词形容普遍的通用的 ，establish 动词表示建立设立 ，emerge 动词表示形成兴起或出现。Logic 名词表示逻辑、理性思维。文法部分第一个学到 end up， 它可以指最终处于点点点，结果怎么样？后面可以接动词 ing、形容词 pp、介系词片语来当补语。第二个学到 A come before B， 表示 A 比 B 优先 ，A 比 B 重要。好，那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Hey, it's Kiwi. Are you okay?
It's Kiwi on the street.
Are you okay, Winnie?
No,
What's
I'm not
wrong?
okay. The air is horrible. Our planet is dying, and I need to do something about it.
Okay, what you're saying is true, but what are you gonna do about it?
I'm gonna plant a garden.
You, a garden?
Yeah, how hard could it be?
Well, I want to see this. Okay, Winnie, well, let's see what you've prepared to start your garden.
I'm glad you asked. I have my safety gloves.
And what do you plan on doing with those gloves?
It's important to wear safety gloves, okay?
The idea is there, you're correct. But you know, like if you put your hands through the soil and you touch something sharp or a thorn, that's gonna cut right through it. Here are some proper gardening gloves, okay? The material is a lot thicker. It will actually protect you from thorns and dirt.
Yeah, no thorns getting through these.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ta-da! Are you getting ready to have some sunflower seeds?
No, that's my planter.
How are you gonna plant anything in there?
Hello, Kiki. It goes inside.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like putting soup in there or something.
How are you gonna water your plant afterwards?
Ooh, I forgot about that part.
Here, you need an actual flower pot. When you water your plants, if there's too much water, your plant is gonna drown and die. So the extra water has to have somewhere to go. So it will go out through these holes and the plate will catch it.
Oh, okay, yeah, this one's much nicer. Okay, I'm done. I'm ready. Let's start gardening.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
How are you gonna put soil in there?
Dun, 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 dun.
What is a fork gonna do? Look, if you want to have a green thumb, you should look the part and use an actual garden trowel.
Ooh, oh, this is fancy. Okay, and I guess, yeah, maybe like 2 scoops and I'm done. Well, I am officially ready to plant.
Oh gosh. Now that you have all the proper tools to start your garden, you definitely will look the part as well.
Be prepared to have the best salad of your life in 3 to 4 months.
That's gonna take a long time.
Anyway, remember to follow us on Instagram and send us a DM or an email if there is something you want to say in English. Kiki, is there anything else you would like to say?
Yes, I would like to plant the most expensive vegetable and make money off of it.
Kiwi later.